You feel it before you understand it. That tightening in your chest, the moment someone disrespects you. Your jaw locks, your thoughts scramble, your heartbeat accelerates. It happens so fast, you don't even know it's happening. And that's exactly the point. You were moved before your mind had time to register the insult. Most men think reacting proves strength. It doesn't. It proves you are reachable. It proves someone else still holds the steering wheel of your life. Think about that briefly. Not intellectually, but physically. Because your body knows this truth already. You've been disrespected before, in meetings, in messages, in relationships, in public, and you felt the urge to respond instantly. You wanted to correct, to justify, to explain, to defend your ego. You thought that was strength. It was submission. Because whoever controls your emotions controls your behavior. And whoever controls your behavior controls your outcomes. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He knew power is never taken by force first. It is taken through reaction. The moment you react, you concede your position. You reveal your leverage. You confirm exactly where you can be moved. But here's the part most people never see. The man who refuses to react doesn't look weak. He looks inevitable, unreachable, unbothered. And that is what actually flips power. Pause and think about that. Not superficially, deeply. How many times have you replayed a disrespectful moment in your head, long after it happened, rehearsing what you should have said, rewinding what you should have done? That rumination is not confidence. It is proof that someone else still owns your nervous system. Here's the blunt truth nobody tells you. Disrespect is rarely about insult. It is a test. They are checking how easily they can pull a reaction out of you, whether you are ruled by impulse or restraint, whether you lead yourself or they can lead you. Most men fail that test instantly because they've been conditioned to react, not to dominate. Marcus Aurelius said it best. A man becomes a slave the moment he allows external things to disturb his mind. Most men today are enslaved before breakfast. They wake up reactive. They chase responses. They speak defensively. They give away leverage without ever realizing it. This video is not about swallowing disrespect. It is not about pretending it doesn't matter. It is about something far more dangerous. The Machiavellian trick of never reacting. Not because you lack feeling, but because reaction is obedience, because reaction is submission carved into motion. And once you understand why never reacting flips power instantly, you will stop explaining yourself, stop lowering your position, and stop giving others access to your inner world. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand how power flips without confrontation, why reaction exposes you, why silence exposes them, and why men who never react become impossible to control. If you have ever felt played, subtly disrespected, or pushed out of position without knowing why, this is not motivation. This is correction. Every time you react, you broadcast your priorities. You expose where you are sensitive. You announce what matters to you. And people use that information instinctively, not consciously. Think about that closely. When someone pushes your boundary, even subtly, and you feel the urge to speak, to correct, to justify, to fix the impression you think they have of you, that is not strength. That is your nervous system still seeking approval. You can feel it in your body. That tightness in your neck, that urge to clench your jaw, that urge to answer back before you even realize you were wounded. That physical reaction is the real battlefield. See, most men fight disrespect with words because they think logic is power. They think being understood is dominance. But those are illusions. Reacting is not resistance. Reaction is exposure, an unguarded gate. When you react, you reveal the one thing that people consciously or unconsciously can exploit: your need to be right, your need to be understood, your need to appear strong. These needs are emotional levers, and anyone who can pull them can steer you. Pause here and consider something most men never admit out loud. You don't react because you're defending yourself. You react because you fear the internal consequence. The fear that people will think less of you. The fear that your position will be questioned. The fear that if you say nothing, you will look weak. That is the real engine of reaction. Not pride, not dignity, not power, but fear. Niccolo Machiavelli wrote that people are moved more by fear than by respect. But what most commentators miss is this. Fear is not only external. The most dangerous fear is the one inside your own head. Your fear of discomfort, of uncertainty, of social judgment, of momentary imbalance. And that fear shows up first in your body, before your logic ever arrives. Think back to a moment of disrespect you remember vividly, not the story. The physical pulse that moment created in you, the itch in your throat, the buzz in your chest. That physical experience is your starting position. That is where power is actually lost, not in the words you choose, not in what you say afterward, but in the moment your nervous system reacts. Most men never see that truth. They mask it with explanations. They tell themselves it was righteous indignation or standing up for myself. But that's a rationalization, not reality. Reality is this. Your body reacts first. Your mind attempts to justify it later. And in that gap, the body responds before the logical defense. Your power is already gone. Because whoever controls your automatic response, that is the real controller. Not your thoughts, not your strategy, not your position, your response system. Most men still hand it to other people on a silver platter every single day. This is the truth. This video is exposing not how to react properly, not how to be calm on command, but why your reactions are the real reason you are still reachable, still movable, still predictable. You're not weak because you have emotion. You're weak because you let emotion act before sovereignty steps in. And once you grasp that, the nature of disrespect changes completely. It is no longer an attack. It is a diagnostic test, a mirror showing you where your leverage still lies. Stay with me, because now that you know where the power is really being lost, the next step is understanding how to stop losing it. Disrespect is not about words. It's about positioning. The insult is only the surface. The real move happens underneath. When someone disrespects you, they are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to see where you stand. And your reaction answers that question immediately. The moment you respond emotionally, you reveal your rank in the hierarchy, not intentionally, instinctively. Power dynamics don't care about intention. They care about signals. A raised voice signals loss of control. Defensiveness signals insecurity. Over-explaining signals dependence on approval. These are not opinions. These are social facts. Watch any environment where power exists. Offices, families, friend groups, relationships. The person with the most power speaks the least, reacts the slowest, explains the least. Not because they are afraid, but because they don't need permission to exist in their position. Disrespect is often used when someone feels uncertain around you. They poke, they tease, they test. They want to see if you are solid or soft. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Well, most men help their disrespecters by reacting the way they were hoping for. You think you are defending yourself. What you are actually doing is confirming their suspicion. You are showing them where to press next time. Niccolo Machiavelli observed that men rarely attack strength directly. They provoke reactions instead. Why? Because reaction bypasses logic. It bypasses strategy. It bypasses restraint. Reaction exposes emotion. Emotion exposes predictability. Predictability creates control. This is why silence unsettles people. Silence removes feedback. Silence removes confirmation. Silence removes the emotional reward they were seeking. When you don't react, you deny them information. They don't know if they succeeded. They don't know if they failed. They don't know how to adjust. And uncertainty is terrifying to someone trying to assert dominance. Think about the last time someone disrespected you. What did they do after you reacted? Did they escalate? Did they smirk? Did they push further? That wasn't confidence. That was data collection. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you did nothing. No facial change. No verbal defense. No justification. Just stillness. The dynamic would not stay neutral. It would tilt. Because when you don't react, the burden shifts. They start wondering if they went too far. They start questioning their raid of you. They start filling the silence with explanations. And explanation is the first sign of losing control. This is not about ego. It's about leverage. You don't win power games by being louder. You win them by being unreadable. Most men talk themselves out of power. They give context. They give reasons. They give emotional access. Powerful men give nothing unless it serves them. Marcus Aurelius warned that the best revenge is to not be like the one who wronged you. But this wasn't moral advice. It was strategic. If you mirror their emotional state, they lead. If you remain centered, you lead. This is the shift. Disrespect loses power when it produces no reaction. Provocation collapses when it creates no movement. And once people realize they can't move you, they stop trying to control you. Now understand this. You don't react to disrespect because you are weak. You react because you were trained to. From the moment you were young, reaction was rewarded. Speak up when offended. Defend yourself when challenged. Explain your side so you're understood. That conditioning didn't build strength. It built compliance. Because reaction feels like action, and action feels like control. But it isn't. Reaction is reflex, and reflex belongs to whoever triggers it. Every environment that wants to manage you relies on this mechanism. Not force, not authority, impulse. Social media trains it. Notifications pull attention. Outrage hijacks focus. Validation becomes currency. You are constantly nudged to respond, to comment, to clarify, to defend, to prove. And every time you do, you surrender timing. Timing is power. The man who reacts immediately is predictable. The man who delays controls the frame. Disrespect works because it targets identity. It threatens how you see yourself, your status, your competence, your worth. So your nervous system fires before your mind can intervene. That's the trap. Most men think discipline is about willpower. It's not. It's about delay. The ability to pause between stimulus and response. Viktor Frankl said that in that space lies freedom. But Machiavelli understood something even colder. In that space lies advantage. Because the man who controls his response controls the interaction. And the man who controls the interaction controls the outcome. This is why provocateurs escalate when you don't react. They need confirmation. They need feedback. They need movement. Silence starves them, and starvation changes behavior. Think about arguments you've seen. The calm person always looks dominant, even if they say nothing. The emotional person always looks unstable, even if they're right. Reality doesn't reward truth. It rewards control. This is where most men misunderstand restraint. They think restraint means swallowing emotion. It doesn't. It means owning it privately and denying others access. You don't suppress emotion. You contain it, like fire in a furnace, instead of fire in the street. Containment creates presence. Presence creates gravity. And gravity bends people around you without effort. This is why powerful men rarely explain themselves. Explanation hands leverage to the listener. If you feel the urge to explain, ask yourself why. Is it clarity, or is it fear of being misunderstood? The second one is control operating through insecurity. When you stop reacting, you break the conditioning loop. No stimulus, no reflex, no reward. And the moment people realize they can't trigger you, they stop trying to steer you. Now watch what happens when you don't react. The moment you refuse to respond, the dynamic changes direction, not slowly, immediately. The person who disrespected you expected movement, a facial shift, a tone change, a defense, an explanation. When none of that arrives, their confidence collapses inward, because provocation only works when it produces feedback. Disrespect is not communication, it is a probe, and probes are useless without data. When you stay still, you deny them information. They don't know if they offended you. They don't know if you noticed. They don't know if you're planning something later. Uncertainty is uncomfortable, and discomfort forces people to reveal themselves. This is where the flip happens. They start filling the silence, over-explaining, backtracking, justifying, softening their tone. Not because you intimidated them, but because you removed the script they were relying on. Most men never see this because they react too fast. They think power is loud. It isn't. Power is the person who can sit inside tension without rushing to escape it. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He wrote that men judge more by the eye than by the hand, meaning perception outweighs action. When you don't react, perception shifts. You appear composed, controlled, unmovable, and people adjust their behavior around that. Think about confrontations you've witnessed. The calm one always looks superior, even if they say nothing, even if they're outnumbered. The reactive one always looks small, even if they're right. Reality doesn't reward fairness, it rewards frame control. This is why silence works better than confrontation. Confrontation keeps you inside their frame. Silence forces them into yours. Now understand this clearly. Not reacting does not mean accepting disrespect. It means postponing your response until you choose the terrain. You don't respond emotionally. You respond strategically. Later, elsewhere, with leverage. That delay creates asymmetry. They acted on impulse. You act on timing. That imbalance is power. This is also why people who can't be provoked are feared. Not admired, feared. Because fear comes from unpredictability. If I can't read you, I can't manage you. If I can't trigger you, I can't steer you. If I can't move you emotionally, I have no leverage. And once someone realizes that, they either respect you or avoid you. Both outcomes protect your position. Now understand this, because this is where most men lose everything without realizing it. Silence is hardest when your ego feels threatened. Not when you're calm, not when you feel confident, but when you feel small. Disrespect hits deepest when it touches an insecurity you already carry. That's why insults about status sting more than insults about skill. That's why public disrespect feels worse than private disrespect. That's why mockery hurts more when others are watching. And that's exactly why people use it. They're not trying to offend you. They're trying to expose you. If you react, they've learned something important about you. They've learned where to press. They've learned what moves you. They've learned what you protect. That information becomes leverage. Most men think insults are spontaneous. They're not. They're calculated tests dressed as jokes, comments, or honest feedback. The man who reacts emotionally fails the test immediately because reaction proves dependency. Dependency on approval, dependency on image, dependency on being seen a certain way, and dependency is weakness. Machiavelli warned that men are destroyed not by open enemies, but by their own need to appear virtuous, respected, or justified. The moment you need to correct someone's perception of you, you've surrendered control of it. That's why silence is so disruptive. It denies them confirmation. It denies them narrative control. It denies them the satisfaction of impact. And people cannot tolerate unanswered impact. Watch closely when you don't react. They glance at you again. They check your face. They replay their own words internally, because now they are the ones uncertain. And uncertainty destabilizes status faster than aggression ever could. This is also why reacting feels good in the moment. It releases tension. It restores ego. It feels like strength. But strength that needs immediate release is not strength. It's impulse. And impulse is programmable. Every system that controls men relies on this exact flaw. Make them emotional. Make them urgent. Make them reactive. Then sell them relief. Relief through arguing. Relief through explaining. Relief through defending. And the man thinks he stood up for himself while quietly stepping out of position. The man who stays silent does the opposite. He absorbs the pressure. He lets it pass. He keeps his position intact. That restraint is not passive. It's disciplined hostility. It says, "I am not moved by you." And nothing terrifies insecure people more than irrelevance. Power doesn't shift when you understand this. Power shifts when you apply it. The next time someone tries to move you, the next insult, the next subtle disrespect, the next attempt to provoke emotion out of you, that moment is your test. Not to speak, not to explain, not to prove anything, but to remain still, because silence isn't passive. Silence is selection. It decides who deserves access to your energy and who doesn't. It decides who gets relevance and who fades into noise. It decides whether you remain reactive or become untouchable. Machiavelli understood this better than most men ever will. He knew that power doesn't announce itself. It waits, it observes, and it moves only when the outcome is already decided. If this video exposed something uncomfortable about how you've been reacting, that's good. Discomfort means awareness just woke up. If you want to lock this lesson in, do one thing right now. Type this in the comments. I don't react anymore. Not for me, for you. Because once you declare it, the standard is set. If this changed how you see disrespect, silence and control, share this with someone who keeps giving their power away without realizing it. And if you want more content like this, where strategy replaces emotion and clarity replaces noise, subscribe to the channel. This isn't motivation, it's correction. And once you see the game clearly, you don't need to react. You decide. I'll see you in the next one.